Hello and welcome to Middle-Aged Geek Girl. I'm Sally. Today's video, I'm going to make another set of my fidget accessories. This one is going to have the focal bead of this awesome little bloody knife that I got. I just love these. They're brilliant. But for a bit of spice, I'm adding a plush bead and also a sea urchin bead, as they like to call them. I call them thorn beads, but I think when you search them on any sort of beading website, they tend to refer to them as sea urchin, and they've got large holes as well. Now what I'm making in this set is a chew necklace, a lanyard and a keyring. Now I know I didn't show how I made the keyring when I did the lanyard last time with the dinosaur set, so that's what I'm going to start with on this video, is making the keyring, and I'll talk through it. So as stated, these are bits I'm going to use for the keyring as well as the lanyard. These keyrings I got did come with an extra sort of extension or an extra chain to attach things to, but I take that off because I just like that personally for when I'm doing my connector, and I just keep these aside, and I'll use them eventually for something. But this is going to be the keyring portion. Okay, so here's my cord. Now I cut this, I'll just double check. I think I cut these at roughly 40 centimeters, and then I work from there because you end up trimming a bit off always. Yeah, 40 centimeters. So when you double that, it will come out to roughly a 20 centimeter working surface. You fold your length of cord in half. Try and make it even at the ends, not like me here. There we go. You fold it in half. Then taking the end, the solid end here, we thread it through the swivel portion of the parrot clasp, and through that loop we put our two ends and pull it through, and that is your connection. And see, again, like I did it exactly with the lanyard, did it here. I don't know why I always end up with uneven ends, even though I fold it perfectly in half before I start. Something to do with, obviously, when I'm threading them through the loop, I must loosen the grip a bit too much. But there you go, you can just do that to straighten them up, and that's fine. Now this is again 1.5 millimeter nylon cord, so when it's doubled up like that, it's 3 millimeters thick, which is perfect for all of these type of beads. It will fit wonderfully. Now, different to the lanyard, this is a keyring. So it's, if it was a lanyard, you would do it so that this portion is on the bottom, because obviously that's the base of your lanyard. But when it's a keyring, this is your top. So you do have to remember that when the difference between doing a lanyard and a keyring is where your parrot clasp or your keyring circle is, so that you feed the beads on the correct way. So obviously if this is going to be on the top, the beads will go on this way. And I know, I mean, it might sound obvious, or I might sound a bit like I might be babying people when I say that. It's only because my brain sometimes can't work out which way things go. So I always do like hold it like that so I get it in my head, because yeah, it's very easy to not quite get things right and mix things up. Now, because, as I said, I've got a combination of plush beads, thorn beads and silicone beads, I don't use this loop turner for everything. I do also have beading needles if I need to use them, if I find it's too frustrating to try and get the cord through. Generally speaking, I don't have an issue with these, just manually doing it without the needle, because they are large hole. But we'll see how we go. I'm having a bit of a clumsy morning, so anything is possible. But I've put the two beads on, the two silicone beads on, that are going to be the first two in my lineup. Put your two ends of your cord in there, seal it up, and pull this through. Nice and easy. Then just line it up as you want. Where I looped it and the extra loop sort of goes on that side, the extra bit of fabric's on this side, where it's more open on that side. I always aim for this to be the front. It doesn't matter, that's just me and my preference. And I think if I want that to be the front, I'm going to want the bead to be that way. So I've just turned it around. That's how I want it to be. And there's my grey spacer there. So next it was the plush bead. What you might have to do, or I find I've got to do, I forgot to do it beforehand with these plush beads, is I just put something in just to give it a bit of a rough spin to make some extra space, because the fur does go inside these beads, so it can clog them up a little bit. But see, after I did that, that went on not a problem at all. As I was saying, I am having a bit of a clumsy morning, and the battery, I noticed, ran out. So I think, I won't know until I edit, but I'm pretty sure I covered it. Getting this bead on. Now I can, well, I'll not just can, I will have to use the loop turner to get the next silicone bead on. You can't manually ever feed these on, because you just don't have, like, the hole is not big enough to just manually do them without some sort of a tool. So that's what we've got so far. And the last bead I'm going to put on is this thorned one. Now I might have a little bit of a problem, because as you can see, it did damage the cord a little bit at the end there when I was trying to put that last silicone bead on. Again, Sally's having a very clumsy day, and yeah, I don't think I can get it on. Now there are a number of different things you can do when this happens. I'm just going to start off by trying to trim a bit of the ends off, because I know I'm going to have a lot of excess left anyway. So I'm just going to try this. I've trimmed the ends off just to try and make it a bit more solid. And I don't think one's going to go through. That's nice. But what about the other one? I don't think the other one wants to play ball. So you can do a number of things. One of them, I'm going to do it at the last step anyway, so I could try it now if I wanted, which would be to burn the ends of the thread, which I do with these so that they don't fray. That's the word I'm looking for. Oh my goodness. I only had one coffee this morning. Could that be right? Could that be my reasoning?
A few moments later.
These are your bead threaders. See how this one goes. So this is just like a long needle, a very blunt one, but it's same sort of thing. It has the opening there that you would put your cord in. Now I always reckon these cords are a bit too thick for this. This is why I tend to not use these if I can for this, but we'll see how we go. I'm just going to open that up a little bit at the end there. And of course, you're only going to have these problems if you're like me and you don't want to just do silicone beads on these, because I like to do all sorts of beads on them. It makes it a bit more textured, a bit more exciting. And the whole point of these is that, and I've just broken that. Well done, Sally. So you're not supposed to pull that too hard. That's what happens. But that's going to go in the bin. But you usually get multiples in a set just as well. Mine came with 4. This is going to be a great tutorial. Yeah, what not to do when you're feeling a little bit clumsy on any particular days. I'm just pulling that out slightly. There we go. So yeah, this is good though. Oh, don't you come out. Don't you dare after all that effort. This shows you what not to do as well as what to do. That's how I see it. All right. Oh, it's not going to go on properly. It's just not. It's too thick for these freaking things. Come on. There we go. There we go. There we go. Now, where did my thorn bead's already on there. All right. Let's go. So put this through like so. Fingers and toes crossed, people, because it might be a little bit too... Oh, God, it worked. It worked. It worked. So there you go. If you don't have a hoop turner, a loop turner's too thick for this, use one of these bead needle threaders, but don't be so rough that you break it like I did. I really am a clumsy crafter, but I don't mind because it teaches everybody. I mean, it shows you what can go wrong. That's the whole point, isn't it? That we're showing you the good and the bad. So there it is. They're all threaded. Now, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beads on there. I know it's not massively long. I mean, I could keep putting beads on if I wanted to, but I want to keep it at that because I don't want so many beads that it takes away from it. I'm just going to, if I cut that there, yes, it'll be about 15 centimeters when I do my tail. So that to me is a good enough size. So what you do once you've got all your beads on is you tie your knot here and try and put the knot right on the base of the bead. There we go. How's that? Once that's on, I just sort of make sure none of them are going to come off. And there is, as it's not right on the base, so there is like a little bit of room to slide these beads around if you want to as well. All right, so just take off a little bit. And that's why this is a good example of why it doesn't matter if they're not even at the end, because you're going to cut it even now to give it two ends. Now, there are multiple ways you can close these off if you wanted to. I wouldn't leave it like that because the cord will fray. So you can put a dab of super glue if you wanted, fabric glue, or the easiest way to do it if you're not a dangerous person or in a clumsy mood like I am. So this is like a word of warning because you will be using fire. Please just be very careful with this. I usually do this over my sink just in case something goes wrong, but I am going to be doing it on camera now. So fingers and toes crossed, people, because as I said, I'm having a clumsy day. So just in the blue part of the flame, which is the bottom, not the yellow part, which is the top, just pop it in the blue part of the frame just for a little bit, just till you can see it starting to melt. And that will give you a nice end so that it doesn't fray. Now, you don't have to do what I'm doing here at the end, which is I'm also putting my fingers in it because I'm just, you know, danger girl. So they won't fray now because they have been singed at the end. So there's the nice, cool bloody knife keyring. Put it that way as well. Put it down there even. Show you that way. And once it's trimmed and everything from top to bottom, yeah, about 16 centimeters. So that's a good length for a keyring. And because it's got nice beads, different beads on it, it's a nice textured one for people who like feeling different things, because I can hold that in my hand and I've got 3 textures instantly. So love it. That is really all you got to do to make one of these key rings. If you aren't as clumsy as I am, it will take like next to no time in comparison to what it took me to do this.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
There is the key ring. Here is the matching lanyard. And here is a chewable necklace version, just with the 2 beads on it. So let me try and get this one to lie a bit flatter on the cord there. Done. That is it. As always, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Let me know what you thought of this video down in the comments, and if you can't think of anything to say, leave me an emoji, because I like all engagement and I always respond to comments. I think this is all of the focal beads I have in my collection now I've made stuff with. So keep an eye on my Etsy store for when they are available for purchase. These I know I'll have no problem loading. I do have a bit of an issue with Etsy at the moment when it comes to loading these sort of necklaces. I've had my skull ones taken down or deactivated by Etsy 3 times now, and I've had 3 different responses. Sorry, make that 4 different responses, because when I finally got through to a human in the support centre, I got a 4th different answer. So I don't know what their grief is. I've been told anything from you can't sell anything that's a baby product or a teething product, which these, whilst I They are chewable. They're for adults and teens. I do not market to babies. Then I got it's making medical claims because I said it was, they're good for helping with anxiety relief and autism and ADHD. And then they also told me that I can't put autism or ADHD in my listing because that's a medical diagnosis. But then I challenge anyone to go onto Etsy and key in just the words autism or ADHD and just see what comes up. So I don't know what they're talking about in that regard. I don't know. So I'm trying to find out a way on how to list these because they are no different to anything else on there. I really don't get what their hang up is, and they can't give me a straight answer. Just every time I try to put them up, they deactivate them. So I'm getting a bit pissed off, to be honest. So yeah, I've still got to look for alternative ways to list these things. But long rant there, but I have to get it out of the system just so people know Etsy is a bit of a dumpster fire, but it's the only sort of handmade market around that you can list things on, which is really unfortunate. And I think they know that, and I think they don't necessarily treat people the way they should treat people because they've got AI and bots running a lot of things now. And yeah, when you do get through to a person, they just don't seem to be able to help. But they're my only avenue, so I have to stick with them at the moment. And just as a reminder, anything on my Etsy store, I ship to the US, to Canada, Australia, obviously, New Zealand and the UK, apart from Northern Ireland. I'm very sorry for the rest of the world. The EU is just impossible to package to now when you make things because they've got this new postal system in. So yeah, as a micro enterprise, and I mean micro, I just can't work with it to be able to sell to the EU, unfortunately. But yeah, it is what it is. So after that rant, if you like this video and you like what I do, please subscribe. It's a great way to support the channel and me for free. You don't have to buy anything. It's just, knowing that I've got subscribers out there is fantastic. But if you are interested in supporting my channel further, I do have a Ko-fi and a Patreon account set up, and the details are up here on screen, as well as I said, my Etsy store, and I do have a RedBubble and a Zazzle store. All of the links are in the description below. But that's it for this video. So until next time, everybody, please stay safe, stay weird, and I'll catch you the next one. Bye.